You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today on our Training Thursday edition, we're going to get into what I'm calling the death of cardio. So what I mean by that is that there's a lot of people out there who, for not sport-based reasons, but actually for weight loss and body transformation reasons, are going for long runs or doing a lot of cardio with the belief that's actually good for their health and going to help them get in great shape. Now, I do want to let you know that it wasn't too long ago, maybe just 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, that this was mainstream, that people believed and were actually taught, incorrectly of course, but they were taught nonetheless, that doing cardio was going to be great for their health and it was going to also help them get in shape. Let me explain a little bit more. So the cardio I'm talking about is more like an hour of cardio on a treadmill or going for a hard bike for an hour and a half or so, something like that. I don't want to confuse this with saying the people out there that are going for like a 5K or a 3-mile run, 3-mile run. I don't see anything wrong with that, any issues with that, and that's only about 30 to 40 minutes of cardio. So I want to take away from the equation anyone that's doing really less than 30 to 40 minutes of just endurance-based cardio. That means just like if it's a nice day out, you want to go for a run, enjoy the weather, no harm in that whatsoever. However, the studies are now coming out more and more that endurance, long-distance endurance-based training, like training for a marathon or training for a triathlon, is actually bad for our hearts and can cause an earlier death from cardiovascular-based disease. Now, this is serious stuff because a lot of people believe that marathoners must be in great shape, but what we see is that there's a lot of marathoners who are actually dying at a much younger age, in their 50s and 60s, when we think that, oh, well, their heart must be in great shape, right? With all that running, your heart should be in great shape. Well, here's what they're finding right now. It's been shown that people that are doing 5 to 6 days a week of cardio, of this longer distance cardio, keep in mind, that's what we're talking about right now, can actually damage the heart. So there's a few studies out there. I'm going to go through maybe 2 or 3 today. And the first one is at the Canadian Cardiovascular Congress in Montreal. They talked about how vigorous and rigorous marathon training can actually increase cardiovascular risk by 7-fold. That means your chance of a cardiovascular-based event is 7 times greater from doing marathon or long-distance-based training. Now, again, regular cardio has been shown to actually improve cardiovascular output, improve the strength of your heart, but that's shorter cardio and also sprint-based training. Okay, so now we know at least one study has shown that it increases your cardiovascular risk by 7 times doing long-distance training. Another study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, this was done over on 100 marathoners from a marathon-based club, and it found that those marathoners, those people who had been doing marathons basically for over a decade, showed scarring on the heart. So those people who trained the longest and they trained the hardest actually showed that the heart began to scar and become hardened. And obviously, that is not a very good thing for the output of blood being pumped in and out of the heart. And so what they showed that there was actually decreased right ventricle function in the heart. All right. So all that means is that your body is less able to produce and pump out more blood volume. All right. So this is not a good thing. When your heart's pumping, you don't want it to be constricted or restricted. You want it to be able to basically just pump out that blood as it's supposed to do. Again, a third study is showing microscopic tears in the fibers of the heart, which is basically like almost injuring, hurting the heart muscle itself when you go for those long, very stressful base runs. We've seen some weakened immune system, potentially some catabolism where the muscles are breaking down more and more. So what I'm recommending right now is very simple and straight to the point. If you love marathon training, or I should say, if you love running marathons and you love doing triathlons, you do want to look at the longevity of your body, and you want to say, is this good for a lifetime worth of training? Meaning, like, if you'd like to do it for a couple years or so, and you really watch your training, meaning like maybe just 1 or 2 hard runs per week instead of 3 or 4 or 5, you're going to be much better off. And for those people who are lifelong marathoners or lifelong triathletes, you really do want to take a good look at these studies and show how the microscopic tears in the heart from hard training is leading to scarring and 7 times potential heart risks of having a heart attack or cardiovascular-based event. Really, really important things to look at. Now, there's some people out there, like myself included, I haven't done it yet, where kind of on our bucket list is to run a marathon. So that is something that I do plan on doing one day, simply for the fact that for the longest time, like over a decade, I never believed I would possibly have the energy or the strength in my body to be able to run a marathon. And so now the thought of running one, knowing that I have great energy now, I'm in good shape, I feel great, I'd love to be able to run a marathon. I don't want to win it. I'm not trying to do anything like that. What I want to do is I want to have a good time and I want to be able to finish the marathon. And I'll share my training with you when I do begin that, but will not be starting right away. So you have some time to wait on that. And now for everyone else, what I would say is this: you do not seem to be any danger at all from doing normal interval-based sprints like 30-second sprints, 1-minute sprints, 90-second sprints, no problem. And you're doing maybe 5 to 10 of those in a workout. Also, the people who are not running to placing that great of stress in their heart, maybe they're doing 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2-3 mile runs, no problem at all either, okay? It's this longer distance running done over a longer period of time that seems to be causing this cardiovascular-based breakdown, meaning like your heart is actually becoming injured from all this very stressful activity. So please do keep that in mind. And I know there is a segment of our community who does enjoy these longer distance events, and I do understand it. I understand where the competitive attitude comes from and really the events themselves. But what if you kind of scale it back a little bit and do half marathons or a 5K or even a 10K? Or do something like what I do, which is a sprint-based triathlon. That's a total of 90 minutes of work maximum, really. And the average person can do that without really stressing their heart to too high of a degree. So hopefully that was nice, short, and sweet, and to the point. But really, it's important to understand that a lot of the things that we just assume are good for us, like running a marathon or this long distance running, isn't. It just is not that great for us. It's not normal for a 2-legged animal to run for 26 miles. It's just we're not genetically built for it. It's not what our bodies were meant to do. We're meant to be sprinters, to run after things quickly and then to rest for a period of time, those specific things. Or a couple of miles, again, is no big deal. And especially when you're talking about body transformation, going for long distance runs is more catabolic, meaning like you're going to break down more muscle tissue, and that's not going to be healthy when you're trying to keep your metabolism strong and burning calories all day long, even when you are not exercising. So hopefully that answers some of those questions today. Always a fun one for me to talk about exercise. Enjoy sharing these tips with you each and every day. So once again, thank you for tuning into the Cabral Concept.
I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.